There's a man sitting alone in a cafe. No phone, no companion, just a black coffee, a book that looks like it's been read a dozen times, and a stare that says he's thinking 10 steps ahead. You've seen him before. Maybe he's the guy who walks into work and doesn't talk unless he has something to say. Maybe he's your quiet gym partner who never brags about his PRs. Or maybe he's your ex, the one who never begged, never chased, and somehow left a bigger hole in your heart than the guy who texted you 73 times in one night. That's the Sigma male. And this isn't a sob story about lonely men in hoodies watching the world pass them by. No, sir. This is a dossier, a case file, a sharp-tongued, red wine-soaked exploration of why these men, calculating, self-contained, stubbornly off-grid, choose to remain single while everyone else is swiping right, getting engaged, and pretending couple TikToks are fulfilling. So pour a drink, lean in close, and don't blink. Because these 7 reasons, they're not about dating advice, they're about identity. Reason 1. He'd rather sleep alone than lie beside a stranger in his bed. Here's the thing about a Sigma male. He doesn't do convenience, he does truth. He's not going to date you because his friends said it's time. He's not going to settle because it's been a while. And he sure as hell won't waste your time with the let's just see where this goes nonsense. He knows where it's going, nowhere unless it's real. This is the first reason he stays single. He doesn't just want a warm body, he wants a kindred soul. You see, a Sigma doesn't chase butterflies. He watches patterns, he reads silence. While most men are hypnotized by curves, he's listening for substance, and if it's not there, he disappears so fast it's like he never existed in the first place. And no, he's not bitter, he's precise. Because intimacy for him is sacred, not cute, not casual, not for weekends and Insta stories. If he lets you into his bed, it's not because he's lonely. It's because he sees something in you that scares him in the best way. Something that challenges his solitude. But until that moment, he'll keep sleeping with the lights off and the door locked. Not out of fear, but out of standards. And this frustrates people because in a world where dating has become an Olympic sport of low standards and even lower expectations, his detachment feels like rejection. But let's be honest, he's not rejecting you. He's rejecting pretense. He's rejecting fake chemistry and forced conversations. He's rejecting the idea that he needs someone to be whole. Because, here's the twist, he already is. And he knows, deep in the part of his soul he doesn't share with anyone, that settling for something half-hearted is worse than being alone. So when you ask why he's still single, don't assume he's broken. Don't assume he's afraid of commitment. Assume this, he just hasn't met a woman worth ruining his peace for. And when he does, God help anyone who tries to get in the way. Because Sigma males don't fall often, but when they do, they burn for real. Reason 2. The touch of a woman can't compete with the call of the wild. Picture this. A man wakes up at 5:00 a.m., not because his boss told him to, not because someone on social media said it's the grind set thing to do, but because the silence before sunrise is his drug of choice. He laces up his boots, grabs black coffee, no cream, no sugar, and disappears into the woods, the city, the gym, anywhere the world stops screaming and lets him breathe. That's the Sigma male, and this is the second reason he remains single. His purpose whispers louder than anyone's desire to hold his hand. Let's make one thing very clear. This is not about hating women. It's about hearing something louder than temptation, louder than late-night cuddles and couple goals and text messages asking why at 11:47 p.m. He hears the call of the wild, the internal compass that points to something bigger than comfort. Where others chase dopamine hits and validation, he chases mastery. He wants to become something rare, something that can't be swiped into existence or liked into It could be his career, his art, his craft, his empire. doesn't matter. What matters is that this mission of his, it's oxygen. And too many times he's seen what happens when men give that up for the illusion of love. They dim their fire. They compromise, piece by piece. They get soft, polished, tamed. And a Sigma male? He'd rather stay wild and misunderstood than admired and domesticated. Now, don't get it twisted. He loves passion, craves connection, but he's been burned before. He's seen how easy it is to sacrifice his momentum for someone who's only in love with the idea of him, not the storm inside. So he keeps his distance. He says no to good because he's holding out for great. And that frustrates women. They don't understand how someone could walk away from something so promising. But what they don't see is the full picture. What she saw as chemistry, he saw as a distraction. There's a danger in dating a Sigma, not because he'll ghost you, but because he'll see through you. He'll see if you're in it for attention, or for legacy, for ego, or for evolution. And if you're not ready to go deep, if you can't match his fire, or at least respect the fact that he's building something in the ashes of everything he's walked away from, then he'll vanish. No drama, no explanation, just gone. Not because he's cold, because he's focused. And this is the part where most people don't get it. He doesn't need a partner to complete the journey. He needs a partner who understands why the journey exists in the first place. So until then, he's a loyal to the silence. He'll choose the grind over the girl, the vision over the vacation, the solitude over someone who doesn't get why he wakes up angry at average. Because to a Sigma, the world is full of beautiful distractions, but very few worthy detours. Reason 3, he's turned down heaven because the gates were crowded. Let me tell you something about Sigma males. They don't do lines. Not in clubs, not in conversations, and never in life. The third reason he remains single? Because even if paradise is real, he's not waiting in a queue to get in. See, there's this assumption in modern dating that a man must earn love by jumping hoops. Be funny but not too sarcastic. Be sensitive but not intimidating. It's a game with a rule book so thick it might as well come with a legal team. But the Sigma? He's not playing. He doesn't peacock, doesn't perform, doesn't stand in line to impress someone who values attention more than depth. He's walked away from women who had everything, beauty, status, charm, because the energy felt crowded, forced, like a party that's too loud for real conversations. He doesn't chase what's popular. He chases what's personal. This man has said no to offers most guys would kill for. Why? Because something about them wasn't right. Not bad, just off. Too many masks, too many rules, too little soul. And that's the heart of it. The Sigma male would rather be in exile with integrity than in heaven with a mask on. So he turns down love that comes wrapped in obligation. He turns down relationships that look great on Instagram but feel hollow on a Tuesday night. Because he knows the difference between being with someone and being seen with someone. And the truth, he's not afraid of love. He's afraid of losing himself in a version of love that doesn't match who he is. So when you wonder why he's single, remember this. He's not waiting for the gates to open. He's out there building his own kingdom, brick by bloody brick. Reason 4, he wants depth, but most people only bring the surface. This one's not going to be pretty. It's going to sting a bit. Because the fourth reason Sigma males remain single is almost cruel in its simplicity. Most conversations don't go deep enough to reach him. You see, the Sigma isn't interested in your favorite color. He doesn't care what you do for a living. He wants to know what drives you when nobody's looking, what you cry about in the dark, what you believe in so strongly it makes your voice shake. He's listening for truth. And truth is a rare dialect in the age of small talk. It's not that he's antisocial. It's that most social settings are exhausting for him. The fake laughs, the humble brags, the choreographed flirting. It's like watching a play you've already seen 100 times and the actors forgot their lines. So he opts out, not because he thinks he's better, but because he knows he's wired differently. He'll talk all night with someone who can spar with him intellectually, but try to keep it shallow, and he's already halfway out the door mentally, if not physically. This is the tragedy and the beauty of the Sigma male. He wants real, but real takes time, and time is a currency he doesn't spend recklessly. He's looking for someone who speaks in subtext, someone who knows that silence can be a sentence, that eye contact can be a confession. But most people, they bring the surface and expect him to dive in like it's the deep end. So he waits, wanders, and wonders if anyone out there is still fluent in vulnerability. Reason 5, he's been broken beautifully and he won't bleed again for just anyone. Let's get one thing straight. Sigma males weren't born mysterious. They were made this way, by betrayal, by heartbreak, by the slow surgical slicing of trust. So, reason 5? It's simple. He's healed, but he remembers the pain, and he won't relive it for anything less than extraordinary. You can always tell when a Sigma has been through hell. There's a weight to him, a calmness that's earned, not inherited. He doesn't flinch at drama, doesn't overreact, doesn't chase closure, because he's had to build himself back from ruin. Peace, but now he guards that peace like a lion guards a fresh kill. He knows what love can do, the kind of love that turns smart men into shadows, that rewrites identities, that takes your dreams and sets them on fire with a smile. So when he meets someone new, his radar is already working. He's scanning for red flags. Yes, but also for depth, for danger, for that familiar flicker that says, "You're not what you seem." This isn't paranoia, it's wisdom soaked in blood. He'll take his time. He'll test your energy. And if you think a few sweet words and a pretty face are enough to melt his walls, you're underestimating how long it took him to build them. He doesn't avoid love. He just won't bleed for it again. Not unless it's the kind of love that doesn't run when it gets hard, the kind that sees his flaws and stays anyway. Until then, he's married to solitude, and that marriage is doing just fine. Reason 6, he knows that power attracts, but it also isolates. There's a moment in every Sigma male's life when he realizes something gut-punching. The stronger he becomes, the lonelier it gets. Success, growth, independence, they're sexy, sure, but they're also isolating. Because when you stop needing people, people start, and most of them don't know how to give back. Reason 6 is this. He remains single because he's tired of being a source, not a sanctuary. See, the Sigma's got this aura. People are drawn to it like moths to flame. They think he's got it figured out. They want to be near it, but few want to understand it, and even fewer know how to support it. So he ends up being the emotional rock, the motivator, the one who listens while everyone else spills. He becomes the therapist in the relationship, the fixer, the strong, silent archetype that gets romanticized in movies but drained dry in real life. He's built to lead, not beg, to give, not chase. But even the strongest get tired. Even the wolves want someone to howl with sometimes. And he's learned that just because someone is enchanted by his power doesn't mean they're capable of carrying it with him. So he waits, not for someone weaker than him, but for someone equally strong who doesn't just admire the weight he carries, but helps him lift it. Until then, he'll carry it alone, because solitude, though heavy, is lighter than disappointment. Reason 7, he's not a fantasy, he's a force. And most people want the dream, not the reality. And finally, reason 7, the one nobody wants to admit, the one most will deny. He remains single because he knows most people want the fantasy, not the man. They fall for the idea, the mystery, the vibe. They want the quiet confidence, the brooding stares, the poetic loneliness. But they don't want to know what fuels that silence, what built that confidence, what haunts the man behind the mystery. Because the truth is, being with a Sigma male isn't easy. It's not all romantic nights and deep conversations. It's also long stretches of silence, philosophical spirals, brutal honesty, emotional autonomy that feels like distance unless you understand it's his form of love. He's not going to chase you. He's not going to perform for you. He's not going to pretend. And that's the deal breaker. People want the package, but not the price tag. They want his loyalty, but not his standards, his depth, but not his demons. And he's seen it happen over and over. They fall in love with the cover, but never read the story. So now he closes the book before it even opens, because he's not here to be someone's fantasy. He's here to live his truth unapologetically, unfiltered, alone if necessary. And if someone ever comes along who loves the reality of him, not just the idea, he'll know. Until then, he remains deliberately, powerfully, and beautifully single. So here we are, 7 reasons, 7 reflections, 7 echoes from the edge of the male psyche we rarely hear out loud. And still, you're probably not done thinking about him, because a Sigma male, he lingers in the room, in the memory, in the what-ifs. He doesn't ask for your attention, but you give it anyway, because he's not trying to be seen, he's trying to see through. And that's rare, dangerously rare. In a world screaming for validation, he whispers something deeper. I know who I am, even if no one else ever does. And that's not loneliness, that's liberty. This man, this Sigma, isn't avoiding love. He's just waiting for a version of it that doesn't come shrink-wrapped in compromise. He's not running from intimacy. He's protecting something sacred, his time, his mind, his soul. And if that makes him hard to love, because somewhere out there, maybe in a cafe with too many books or a quiet forest trail, or in the eyes of someone else who's tired of pretending, there's a woman who gets it. Not because he tried to impress her, but because he didn't. Until then, let them call him distant. Let them call him strange. Let them call him alone. But never, never call him lost. Because some men weren't meant to be found. They were meant to walk alone until someone worthy chooses to walk with them. And that, my friend, is why the Sigma male remains single. By choice, by principle, by power. Fade out, cue silence, roll credits.